it's kind of a shame in a way, because if Rogue Mage Priest ends up being an answer to some of these top teams, then him having a priest would be perfect if they could get Rogue Mage Priest as a comp to beat these teams. But starting off, maybe they play Shadow Priest Rogue. They just go with their bread and butter, the standard expectation. That's their highest performing comp in my mind. Like, they're going to perform to their highest ability. However, compositionally, Method NA have those Paladin, Boomkin Paladin Mage compositions that are very difficult to deal with as it. And an interesting blind pick from both sides. So Golden Guardians are just going to be leading with that Assassination Rogue of Peekaboo, running the Rogue Mage Paladin. However, Method NA decided to bring in the Warrior that I think a lot of players are considering to be the counter to the Rogue, because the Warrior brings in so much disruption, Stormbolt, Disarm, and probably most importantly, Intervene, redirecting all of the damage from the Rogue's target to the Warrior instead. And it's very low cooldown, so we'll have to wait and see here. Maybe Peekaboo's got some surprises.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have to wait and see. Assassination did get some damage buffs as well, so maybe that turns the tide of this matchup just a little bit. But I think for Method NA, they definitely anticipated this pick coming in from the Golden Guardians. They've been practicing this composition quite a lot. I mean, Abster's basically fully dedicating himself to that Paladin, and we'll see if it can pay off. I'm going to be taking a Garrote right away from Peekaboo into a full kidney shot, as it looks like Golden Guardians want to get aggressive. A Polymorph over onto Brain. Australium in a little bit of trouble. Drake's going to be backing him up with that Intervene, but great start here for Golden Guardians. I don't think they're going to force the Ice Block, but definitely a solid amount of pressure.
Absolutely, and maybe that's all that they need. But Drake trying to switch it around onto WizK as well. And I am really keeping an eye on WizK on that alt mage. There's a lot of pressure on him, but a huge damage going out into Australium is going to force that Blessing of Protection. Looks like it is going to get removed and taken off for now, so it doesn't get stolen. But another button out of the Spellbook of Brian already forced. And that's the kind of onslaught I want to continue to see. Sacrifice actually being used out from Absterge as well. And this is going back and forth. Bomb is dropped. Sorelium in that kidney shot. He's going to blink out of it. Peekaboo rooted up for now. And they're swapping it out onto WizK with that Stormbolt. The full fear lands out onto Absterge. What do they have to follow up on WizK? Is this going to be another button out for Golden Guardians? It looks like it's a very close matchup so far, but I still would... Method NA is looking very strong.
Remember, this is an elimination series. The loser will be out of the tournament entirely, which is actually insane. These are two Titan teams. At the moment, both mages under quite a bit of pressure, but the crowd control chain is dropped. And now WizK could be in trouble. Soralium going to Frost Nova Peekaboo. Peekaboo waiting to get out of that. Absterge's Blessing of Freedom and his Divine Shield. So a big trade from Absterge amidst all of the chaos. And WizK is still falling behind as Brain lines up a blinding light. They're pushing for the Cauterize. Drake gets Dragon's Breath for a moment, but oh my goodness, this damage. They're going to proc the Cauterize, get a Blessing of Protection. They're trying to counter assault Soralium. They need to get something on this push with the pressure and momentum that they've built, but they're getting shut down. Polymorphs on Absterge, Dragon's Breath on Peekaboo. It's WizK who's now still on the back foot and has to block. Shattering Throw, going to crack that ice block. WizK's desperate, trying to poly Drake. Drake shuts it down with a Stormbolt, charging in. WizK soul shapes away. Drake chases after him, reflects the Polymorph. Drake absolutely smashing WizK on this mage right now. Brain and Soralium are charging in to back him up. As soon as they get there, this is going to be over. He's so dangerously low. Drake's in a Frost Nova. WizK pauses the fight with a Polymorph. Brain doesn't get the dispel. He's in a stun. Nice counter assault by the Golden Guardians, trying to put themselves back in the match, but Drake intervenes back over to Soralium, redirecting a ton of damage. Mirror Image is reducing a ton as well, then charging right back onto WizK. Brain is just waiting to stun up Absterge here. He's got to get ready with that Medallion sacrifice to make a trade. WizK pops Combustion. Is there going to be a Kleptomania on it from Soralium? He's holding on to it, wanting to make sure that he gets his Combustion on the next attack, knowing it could win the game. They just got Sacrifice and Trinket out of the way. I think it's game over. As soon as Soralium pops this Combust, if they stun lock WizK, they're absolutely going to destroy him. They're swapping Absterge on the Sacrifice. Beautiful swap. Method NA had complete control of game number one.
Yeah, that was fairly one-sided. I mean, at the beginning of the game, it was not looking too bad for the Golden Guardians. There was like a really important moment where both the Warrior and the Paladin were caught in stuns, and unfortunately WizK missed a double Ring of Frost. And I feel like it was at that exact moment where that CC didn't land, where the game just spiraled out of control in favor of Method NA. And you got to worry a little bit here for Golden Guardians, because this seems like a matchup that Method NA is very comfortable in.
Absolutely. I mean, when you make the comparison between the assassination rogue and an arms warrior, there's a lot of similarities. I would say the arms warrior in a lot of ways is a lot tankier and a lot less of a target. Maybe you get a little bit more control from the assassination rogue, but the pressure that Drake was putting out onto WizK just really never gave him any breathing room. And whenever CC landed on the Absterge, buttons were forced. There's the sacrifice as soon as he gets for your trinket sack. And now WizK without block, I mean, the next go is it. And if you look on the other side of things, they did not force trinket, bubble, sack, nothing, not even block from Cerulean. That was a crushing blow for Golden Guardians. I mean, they are the masters at being able to say, all right, go get him, you know, but I have to say that their morale might be threatened after a game like that.
It's interesting looking at the match results. Peekaboo's damage, like the pressure's there.
Wow.
They do have the damage on that assassination rogue. The problem is you do miss out on a little bit of that utility that the warrior brings. However, I mean the rogue has some great utility as well. The smoke bomb, the blind, the vanish sap. It's hard to kind of push through. Although it seems like Peekaboo's doing a lot of overall damage, when Cerulean's actually in trouble, Drake can just intervene and kind of keep them alive during those dire moments. So we'll see. I kind of feel like for Golden Guardians, this is what they maybe anticipated. So I don't think it'll be that weird if we see them just play the same compositions throughout this entire series.
Given that, is this going to be a little bit of a back and forth series, do you think, Ven?
Well, it's hard to say, right? If they do lock in the same compositions, it does kind of feel like Golden Guardians can still win. I think a lot of players would say that the Warrior kind of has an advantage against the Rogue in this particular match and like a mirror match like this, but we've seen Golden Guardians pull off upsets in the past, and we'll see if they can do it here against Method NA. But it's definitely not an easy matchup, and I think if it is the same compositions, it will be back and forth, but it's definitely an uphill battle here for Golden Guardians.
So I know you guys were busy casting the games during that, but did you notice Absterge's, was that a Mariah Carey poster behind him?
He's channeling the Mariah Carey energy into that game, and this is the first time we saw Miss Carey in the background of Absterge, and his cooldowns left his spellbook faster than I've ever seen. So you know what? It's an interesting strategy, but I'm not sure it's working out for him, Cotton.
Seems like Mariah Carey may be a bad luck charm for Golden Guardians, but we're going to find out shortly what they decide to do next as they start the draft process here. Supatis, what do you want to see them do going into game number 2?
I mean, there's just like a bunch of comps I wish that the Golden Guardians would spend time with, and like one of the comps would be Rogue Mage, and then the other comp would be Ellie Mage. And then they can utilize Jelly Beans a bit more, because this is a good time for Ellie Mage. Ashamane's Fall against a Warrior. And Jelly Beans has played Ellie on the BlizzCon stage before. Like, he's a competent player. I trust him to be able to learn how to pick it up and play it. And they have great examples to follow if they just watch Skill Cap EU, even one series, and just try and copy and replicate what they're doing. Because then they'll be able to adapt to the meta a little bit better. And I think it's important for them to have a spell cleave of some kind. So going to Ashamane's Fall, they're either going to do the same thing and try and win on mana, because Brain's mana is actually in a worse position. If they've been able to get better rotations on defensive cooldowns, or actually gotten Drake off of WizK, he got a ton of uptime. Or they're going to try Ellie Mage, I think, with how much time I've seen Jelly Beans spending on Ellie.
Yeah, it would definitely be cool to see him come out and play here. Ven, did I cut you off?
No, you didn't cut me off.
I wouldn't mind seeing a mirror. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, me neither.
I think Jelly Beans is a really strong warrior. I swear. Okay, so on Assassination Rogue with the intervene from the warrior, it just feels like the same comp but safer. And Jelly Beans, I feel like, performs well on the warrior, but I guess the question is, that's like literally triple ult. So
yeah, that's my problem with that is I kind of talked about this before. It's like you can play ults, but it's always nice if you have someone who's on their main that can kind of tell you how the game is supposed to be playing out. They're going to be locking in the same composition, but I just feel like Jelly Beans coming in on the warrior, he has been performing well. I do agree with you, but it just gets into triple ult territory. It gets a little bit sketchy at that point. You're playing against Cerulean and Brain. These guys have been playing Paladin Mage for such a long time. Are you really going to be able to mirror them and consistently win? I feel like you got to kind of have that X factor, and I feel like here that's going to be Peekaboo on that Assassination Rogue. Even just with the damage he was able to do in that last game, I still feel like they got a fair shot in this one.
Yeah, we'll have to find out here. This was also their map choice here, so they're going to feel nice and comfy here given Ashmane's fall. We're going to be starting the game shortly. What do you want to see them do, Supties, now that they have a little bit more room in terms of this with this map?
I actually think they can dampen the Warrior. I swear that Upsurge was really far ahead on mana. If they had just been able to protect WizK better from the Warrior, I actually think that they could have just won on mana and won on pressure. So just play a slow game, if anything, and focus on really just assisting with Drake. Maybe even, I don't know if it's worth allocating like every kidney shot onto Drake, but I wouldn't be against just playing a dampening playstyle and drag the fight on.
I think they should at least try it. I think going after Drake, I mean, similar to how we saw, it is a little bit different, but similar to how we saw Warrior Mage Paladin kind of countering Windwalker Mage Paladin, where the Warrior would just sit on the Windwalker, force him to be afraid, force him to play defensive and run away. Maybe the Assassination Rogue can do that against the Warrior. I'm not 100% sold on that, but it just seems like in this matchup, Intervene is far too strong for them to kind of push through. When Peekaboo is getting good pressure out, Intervene from Drake. And then all of a sudden, Cerulean, as long as he's near Drake, isn't going to be taking really that much damage. So it's going to have to be WizK that really carries with his kind of combustion burst during those moments. But maybe just going after Drake could be a solid strategy for sure.
All right, we're going to see if they can pull that off here. It's game number 2 on Ashmane's Fall. Method NA already up 1-0 against Golden Guardians in this best of 5 elimination series.
It's a big deal. Game number 1 is definitely something that you really need in this type of format, whereas loser's advantage. One of the things that I'm going to be looking out for when this game gets started is how Golden Guardians opens. Look at Peekaboo Cam. He is already super serious. The game is about to start. 3 seconds to go. But one of the things, they ran in super hot. I mean, Absturge was with them in the middle of the map. They wanted to have a really aggressive opener. And I think that if they position Absturge so it's a little bit harder for Method to get the CCs that they need to force the cooldowns, I think the game will go much longer just out of pure positioning. But here we go. Absturge running in. He gets the full Hodge. The nice kidney shot on the Cerulean as well into the Ring of Frost. Amazing cross CC. Blind to follow it up. He's going to bop it off. Wing's going to be forced out from Brian, but Cerulean's still in a lot of trouble. CS lands. He's dipping below half health here, and the onslaught of Golden Guardians looks good so far.
All right, let's see if they can keep this momentum. That's the Vendetta, very powerful cooldown of Peekaboo's, and it's 2-minute cooldown, so you can't use it again for 2 more minutes. So their damage is going to subside, giving Method NA an opportunity to battle back now in the fight. You can see Drake leading the charge, going after WizK, but in the meantime, Peekaboo setting up the team for success. Cheap shots over onto Brain, cheap shots over onto Drake, triple crowd control, set up high value vanish from Peekaboo, blinding light to follow suit out of the polymorph, and Golden Guardians are going all out here. They could swap to Drake. He's just intervened, so all the damage is redirected to the Warrior. That's a great tactic to switch to the Warrior on the intervene and then double up on that damage. Peekaboo re-stealths, looking for some bonus Garrote silences and extra damage, silencing that combustion. Peekaboo definitely min-maxing quite heavily here in game number 2. Now a kidney shot out of the silence. WizK trying to disrupt Drake with a Dragon's Breath, looking for polymorphs, trying to fake out the interrupts and get through a ton of crowd control. Trying to plop down a Ring of Frost, gets storm bolted, and there's the Spear of Bastion. It's going to be Blessing and Protection and try to stabilize here. Abster's making a very kind of conservative trade. Now Cerulean beginning to fall behind. Smoke Bomb gets dropped, but no, Cerulean is able to Soul Shape with that Night Fate Covenant ability right out of the Smoke Bomb.
That is so unfortunate. I mean, that's kind of like a scripted rogue gameplay there. You kick Poly, you drop a Smoke Bomb, but you know, Soul Shape mixes that up just a little bit. WizK now on the back foot, getting interrupted, looking for a polymorph here. Can he find it? Just trying to peel the best he can, but taking a lot of damage as a reflected polymorph there by Drake. Just really getting control of the matchup on this Warrior. Interrupt now on WizK, desperately trying to survive with the Ring of Frost. The Dragon's Breath getting into execute range, though. Still has the Cauterize. Absurge getting some healing. Hammer Justice now on Brain. Can they get the polymorph? It looks like they will be able to. Intervene comes in once again. Cerulean going to be taking a little bit of damage, but I don't mind this. If they can double dot, keep Rupture, keep Garrote on Drake as well as Cerulean, every time he intervenes, they can actually go after Drake. They kind of get double value on that Warrior. Haven't been able to really execute on that just yet, as they have been on the back foot, but a little bit of potential there. WizK still kind of struggling to survive, using both of his Shimmer charges to escape. Bladestorm coming in from Drake. He's all over WizK and still trying to Soul Shape away, but it's just not enough. Interrupt coming in from Drake in execute range. Can they get the Cauterize? There's no sacrifice available here from Upsurge. Gold Guardians trying to strike back and take down Cerulean. A nice sap coming in from Peekaboo, but it just seems like WizK is getting controlled. This is going to be his ice block. Cauterize is already procced, and things are unraveling here for the Golden Guardians.
So many buttons used for the Golden Guardians already. This kind of looks like game number 1, but a little bit better. I like that they're pulling back. I like that they're going for a little bit of a longer game, and I like that they're swapping to Drake more and more to punish those intercepts. But WizK, he's got nothing left. Upsurge popping that bubble now at this point, and his mana is even lower than Brian's. That win condition we identified earlier, it's gone. Die by the sword used for Drake, and he is running Relentless. I believe he's also, he is human, so he has that human trinket. But this could be it right here. Groat onto Brian. Drake's still caught in that stun. Drake on the defensive at this point. He does not have Die by the sword. He has that rallying cry if he needs it, but it doesn't look like he needs it just yet, as Brian's going to be able to keep him A-okay. And Brian still is holding on to his sacrifice. Cheap shot goes out onto Drake. Any CC to follow it up onto Brian. Doesn't look like it. And again, I think Golden Guardians needs to drag this game out. Absters needs to look for drinks, because it just doesn't look like they're going to be able to land a kill with all of these buttons available for Brian anytime soon.
Yeah, they're starting to putter out here with basically no mana left. Cooldown's incredibly limited. Peekaboo's got Vendetta. He's going to have to make something happen here. It's all going to come onto him to try and carry the team. But Upsurge is in a poly. No way to escape. WizK's left alone, and there's nothing that can save him. That Wild Seed will proc and be destroyed. Method NA are looking clean on their Warrior Mage Paladin.
Yeah, there really is no question about it. And I can't help but feel like I didn't actually see the matchup between Method NA and Trust the Process, but I think this is something that they have prepared. Maybe losing to Rogue Mage gave them that extra spark to prepare the Warrior Mage Paladin a little bit more, because they're looking clean so far, and this is looking dire for Golden Guardians.
That looks so dire. I wish I could have watched the RMP face them and knock them down, because I don't see the win condition here that they must have found. But yeah, that looked rough. Golden Guardians now on match point here. Series number 1 of the day, and the only thing that I can think of in my head is just try to stay positive and try to focus on, these are warm-up games. I just woke up because that looked rough, man.
I mean, we can see here just a double blinding light into a full polymorph. At this point, there's just nothing left for WizK. There's no Cauterize, there's no Ice Block, just consistent setups and consistent denial coming in from Method NA. That's what they kind of specialize in. They're landing their crowd control, and they are making it miserable for WizK to land his. If he's not CS'd, he's pummeled. If he's not pummeled, it's reflected. If it's not reflected, it's storm bolted. If it's not storm bolted, it's Dragon's Breath. And Cerulean and Drake have been on point defending Brain in these matchups, and that's really what it comes down to. Something they do such a great job. It's just it's a rough place to be in for the Golden Guardians, because this is a matchup in any other cup that would be a grand finals. Golden Guardians would have to crawl through the entire bracket, make it into the grand finals to have their shot against Method NA, and they find themselves having to start their day with it.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out was looking at the healing done of these two healers. It's fairly close, but you saw Upsurge running out of mana a little bit faster, and I mean, that's kind of the benefit of when you get clean goes. When you're able to really force your opponent to have to use their big abilities or even spam cast, that's when they start spending mana. When they're able to just get by with the Holy Shocks, the Divine Tolls, the Word of Glories, even a couple of Crusader Strikes for the Word of Glories here and there, it's way less taxing on your mana pool. And I just felt like the cross CC, I mean, they were even cross CCing WizK with his own polymorph sometimes. It just looked really strong. And I think Golden Guardians could absolutely figure it out. They have the synergy on their team. If they can get some more clean setups, I really think they could go toe-to-toe. But you have to go toe-to-toe 3 games in a row. That's tough. That's a tall order.
And against Method NA, and they have won the last 2 cups. These guys are so consistent. They won the North American Finals last year for BFA. I mean, this is not an easy team to face up against for your first game of the morning. So you guys are absolutely right. A difficult place to be for your first game, and they're facing elimination here if they lose this next game. So the question is, are they going to stick with the same composition? Are they going to try and switch something up here? We've talked about how this team is sort of momentum based, but what do you want to see from them, Ben? Do you think they just stick to their guts here?
I don't know if they really have a better option. Although maybe it's worth it. Maybe just put Jellybeans on the Warrior, go for a mirror match, see what happens. I don't know how much practice they have in that mirror match, and I can tell you right now, Method NA has a lot of practice in that mirror match, so not an easy thing to do. But do we think they're just going to lose? I mean, if they lock in the same composition, is it just a loss? Do they they might as well experiment at this point, right? Because it doesn't seem like this is really a winnable matchup for them. Maybe they try, throw a Hail Mary, like Sid said. Bring in Jelly Beans on the Elemental Shaman, play Fire Mage Elemental Shaman. Another one of those comps, never seen them play before, and it is something you do need good synergy on, I think, to pull off. But maybe it's time to experiment. I do get the feeling that Golden Guardians will just lock in the same thing, though, and try to just play a little bit better, make it a little cleaner. But yeah, not going to be easy for them.
Also, while we wait for Golden Guardians to pick their composition here, shout out to production for this awesome view that we're looking at right now. Is this a live feed of the tournament realm, D Machine?
It looks like a live feed of the tournament realm, yeah. Yeah,
I think
that's
the players
awesome.
know they're on camera. Look at them gather right there.
If you're in North America and you're a competitor on the tournament realm, go and say hi on camera here.
Do a little...
I wanted to do like a
trans
watch party. Yeah, show up your trans bug. I wanted to do a watch party just like this so I could eventually, pipe a feed into because it's true, like we're all running around. I'm sure AWC's on your second monitor as you're doing the MAW or whatever, but we can't be in person during this time, but we definitely can we can LARP if you want in game and watch together. I'm all about that sort of thing. Something else I wanted to know is that, we're about to see a Hail Mary from Golden Guardians in less than 40 seconds of some sort, I betcha. But last time they played Assassination Row, actually the first time they played Assassination Row in the tournament, Pika on stream after that, it was like, we never played that before. I just kind of locked it in because I thought it would be good. So I feel like they've thrown Hail Marys before and it's worked. And I feel like very few teams can pull off stuff like that. Peekaboo and Jellybeans are a couple of those players who can go on those ults and just somehow have this ability to be confident. And it's something that I could never do, but if they can take that confidence, they can make something happen, and they could probably catch Method NA off guard. But Method NA is definitely showing us right here, right now, that why they're the #1 seed. And Golden Guardians, they're going to stick with their guns. They're locking in the Assassination Fire Mage Holy Paladin.
All right. Yeah, I would totally agree with you, David. I feel like that's why people love this team so much. Golden Guardians, they have those moments like that where they kind of make their dreams happen and make everyone in chat believe in them. And then, they have these amazing turnarounds. And I feel like we have the potential to see that right now. They're going to be locking in that same composition that they've had for the last 2 games here that they have lost with. So maybe on Tiger's Peak, they're going to be able to make that happen, Ben.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, they have the damage. They have Peekaboo kind of setting up their team right here. It's just about how well WizK can avoid, the multiple interrupts, all of the things that Method NA are throwing at him to deny the crowd control. If he can get through that, if he can find a way to land full polymorphs onto Brain, full Ring of Frost, there's definitely potential. I wonder if targeting is something that they want to mess around with too. Like, just go after Drake. Keep him in defensive stance the entire game. Try to just put polymorphs out on Ceruleum if you can. And really enable WizK that way by stunning up the Warrior, because he's the main one that's denying WizK from getting crowd control. And at this point, I feel like you really have nothing to lose. Maybe even find a nice opener onto Brain, be able to force out his Divine Shield right away. Certainly a possibility if they get that same kind of cross crowd control where maybe they Dragon's Breath Sheep Drake, Ring of Frost out of a cheap shot on Ceruleum, and then just go after Brain. Something like that. That is possible. They can force some early cooldowns, and they do have that advantage since they are starting in stealth.
Mm-hmm. If they do decide to go after Brain, I feel like that's going to be really difficult for them, Supatis. I mean, this guy, as soon as he started playing with this team, he's just proven so many times how he's like almost impossible to kill or catch up with. This guy is a crucial part of this team.
Yeah, I mean, I would make like a fair argument for Brain being like the best Holy Paladin at the moment in North America.
Yeah, for sure.
Just with consistency over time, limited mistakes. I feel like maybe only one time I can ever recall, and I don't really remember exactly when it was, where maybe he didn't use a cooldown. Like, he's the paladin that if you lose, he's completely out of mana. He has no cooldowns left. There's no option, and that's the only time really. So I would definitely say that he's one of the best, if not the best right now in North America. But now obviously Absterge has to kind of step up to the plate. He's a main shaman player. His team's roster is just not able to make it work at the moment, so they're trying to pick up Paladin and going toe-to-toe with, in my mind, the best team at the moment in North America. It's going to be really tough, but they're sticking to it. They're going to just do a run with this Rogue Mage Paladin, see if they can make it work. It's what they've invested their time in, so I can't really fault them for that at this point.
Definitely not. Method NA on match point here. Loser of the series knocked out of the tournament. It's game number 3. Method NA versus Golden Guardians.
All right, what are the Golden Guardians going to do? Peekaboo in stealth right now. They need to win 3 in a row to stay in this tournament. Method NA just need 1 more to close it out. So if they're going to switch up their targeting, or if they're going to just go after Ceralium, kind of the standard strategy, it's going to be a cheap shot onto Brain. Full blind on Brain, actually. Whiskey not able to really get the polymorph off, and now we're looking for a potential full sap. Drake comes back, he intervenes it, but gets the sap anyways. Nicely done there by Peekaboo. Ceralium might get bursted down here, but that was the blind. Keep in mind, they committed the blind. I think Peekaboo committed his Vanish, and if they don't get any cooldowns here, they don't even get a Trinket from Ceralium, a Trinket from Brain. This is kind of a disaster for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, Peekaboo trying to make a hero play with that smoke bomb. Ceralium's still in a lot of trouble, but look how confident Brain is to not press any buttons. I mean, they didn't press anything. They used Divine Favor, and they're walking away, no problem. WizK, on the other hand, Avatar was popped. He's got chunked down to half. Ceralium out of nowhere. He's still taking a huge amount of damage. Do not count Peekaboo out just yet. Full Polymorph lands onto Absterge, and WizK needs to be careful. I noticed WizK is not pushing out, like, at all. He is sticking on this pillar with his healer, and I'm curious if that's going to let them get into deeper dampening. I mean, they're not using their buttons just yet. As I say that, a bop is forced. Cross CC onto Peekaboo, but Absterge still avoiding line of sight for now. Kidney shot on the Ceralium with the full polymorph setup on the Brain. Are they finally going to force a button? Well, who knows? Ceralium dipping lower and lower. He wants to get aggressive with his Combust Stormbolt onto WizK. WizK dropping below half now, and it looks like Absterge and WizK, they're going to chalk this up. They're going to reposition to another pillar, and I like the positioning from Golden Guardians this game.
Oh, WizK got speared on his blink. That's going to be a lot of uptime from the Warrior here. Ceralium gets silenced. Peekaboo's trying to set up his team, but WizK gets shut down by Drake, and I really feel like it's that one-on-one that's really not going in Golden Guardians' favor. Drake is just immuning crowd control with Blade Storm, saving Avatar to get out of roots, using Fear and Stormbolt to totally take WizK out of the game. He's obviously studied up on the Warrior versus Mage matchup, and he's just making this a living nightmare for WizK to get anything going for his team at this point. And if Drake keeps this up, I think it's going to be a clean 3-0 here. Pressure across the board. At least slight mana advantage maybe towards Absterge if there was one thing going for them, but not able to find crowd control. Finally getting it onto Absterge, but Ceralium gets intercepted. Peekaboo shuts them down. I like this usage of Kidney Shot. Rather than aggressively use Kidney Shot when Absterge gets polymorphed, I think that's a great counter engagement, and that way you can maybe separate the Warrior from the Mage and prevent that intervene as well. I think like a counter engagement strategy on the Rogue might be necessary rather than being the aggressor. You wait for them to attack and then deflect them back. If we see this more in the future, maybe they can win on mana. Brain looks like he might be drinking off to the side there behind the tiger statue, getting a tiny bit of mana, but not wanting to get sapped by Peekaboo, so coming back into the fight. We see Braum called into battle from Drake, that robot, going to be adding a bit of damage here onto WizK as he tries to blink back away. Peekaboo still just going after Ceralium. They've used Kidney Shot, so I can imagine as soon as Ceralium has recovered here that Method NA are going to push for some major cooldowns. You can see Brain charging in, hammers down, WizK is blasted, Absterge has to Divine Shield, but even in the protection of that, Cauterize will trigger, and Ice Block is likely to be forced. Shattering Throw, Method NA blow Golden Guardians almost completely out on this push.
Oh, they're still going for it too. WizK in some trouble. No Cauterize, no Ice Block, Polymorph on Absterge. There's no breaks. What is WizK going to do to survive? Doing decent kiting right now. Kidney Shot onto Ceralium. He may be able to hold on, but they're just one crowd control chain away from taking him down. Blessing and Protection trades out by Absterge, just trying to slow down Drake, but a full Stormbolt does land. WizK trinkets out of that. Ceralium going for crowd control. He fakes out the kick, gets Counterspell. Beautifully done there by the Golden Guardians. So not allowing Ceralium to easily get that crowd control, and now a counter assault here onto Ceralium. But Brain in prime position, there's no CC out on him. He's got his wings up. Should be able to keep Ceralium alive, trade out Sacrifice if he really needs to. This is a combustion as well from WizK. Ceralium used his Spell Steal to remove the Blessing of Protection, so full value combustion, but it might not be enough. There's the full Ring of Frost, Method NA, complete domination, and they will take WizK down and take this series 3-0. I mean, they seem prepared with this Warrior Mage Paladin. That was an impressive performance.
I'm imagining we're going to take a quick look at that replay, and one of the things I want to point out is just the cooldowns available for Method NA at the end of that game. I just felt like Ceralium, yeah, he got chunked down to half and a kidney shot here and there, but at no point was that mage ever scared. Meanwhile, on the other hand, there was like near-death experiences times like 10 on side of Golden Guardian, so that is a hard loss to swallow, but I know that there's members of the move in chat, and I know that this team is going to come back strong. I mean, what was it in BFA that we actually ended up seeing this Golden Guardians team like lose like I think 2 cups, 3 cups in a row, and then they came back in the last cup and like completely dominated.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't seem like it was Golden Guardians day, and they will be eliminated. And here we go. Here's the replay, and like I said, looking at those cooldowns, I mean, Brain, Brian, Kappa, whatever you want to call him, he had buttons for days for Ceralium.
Yeah, there's just